Hello, hi, my name is Princess, and I'm creating this video to kind of just share some very proud moments of my day, and just just proud as a parent, you know. So a lot of times in my parenting, I'm a single mom. I have three children. I work. I put myself through school while I raise my children. I've started a business as I'm raising my children. And so oftentimes I tend to feel maybe I'm not giving them 110% of what they need. But I'm what a lot of people have called strict, rigid, you know, overbearing. My kids have also said, "Mom, you're doing too much." But today was a very profound moment for both of my children. So, about 2.5 hours ago, my daughter and I were on the phone, and we were going chatting it up. She's 20 years old, so we were just on the phone laughing and talking about her life and the decisions that she's been making, and it was just really enjoyable to hear her spirit. She's very hard on herself because she's an overachiever, and that's pretty much because of how she was raised. She was raised to push herself and to believe in herself and to not settle. So I always taught my children not to settle. Always push yourself to be greater than what you are this moment, because I believe that we all have a greatness inside of us, and if we let it lie dormant, we'll waste away. We won't live our true potential, which causes a lot of sadness and a lot of woe is me's, and creates those moments where we have those shoulda, woulda, couldas. So I've always pushed my children in those areas. And I was a teen mom. I had Alasia when I was about 18 years old. Not about, I had her at 18 years old. And so I wanted to make sure that, I was able to instill in her, values, morals, and to show her life on a grand scale where you're not just your environment, you're not just your situation. And although you came from a teen mom, you're not a statistic. And so, my daughter went off to school very early or what have you. And so she was just like, "Mom, I need some time off. You pushed me through school." And I did. I kept the girl in school. The girl couldn't do nothing but go to church and go to school and hang out with her cousins. She couldn't even have outside friends. I know that's bad, but I did it. And today she sent me a copy of her school schedule, and yes, she's going back to school. She took about a year off, and so now she has re-enrolled herself back into school, and she sent me her college schedule. And she shared that moment with me, and I was just so excited because she called me to share that moment with me, and not really knowing, the whole time that we were on the phone for the whole 30, 45 minutes, the girl was sitting at the school enrolling herself in her classes. So I was just like, wow. And then she texted me and she said, "Mom," it was her schedule. And then she called me. She said, "Mom, did you get my schedule?" I said, "Yeah, baby, I looked at it. I see it. And so I was kind of holding back that moment of like, yeah, she get it. And then she started to tell me, she was like, "Mom, I went through a moment where, you know, I was starting to, feel down and out." And I was like, "Yeah, we go through that, and we have this little thing where when we achieve our goals or whatever with my daughters, I'll say, 'Diamond Life,' I do like this little hand gesture like a diamond, and I'll say 'Diamond Life,' and we'll kind of do it together." And so I sent her the little diamond emoji or whatever. So like I was saying, she sent me her schedule. We kind of talked about it. She told me how she mapped out a plan, and for how she was going to organize herself and get herself back into the routine of tackling her classes. So I was just like, "Yeah, girl, that's what I'm talking about. There go my baby. She doing that thing, whatever." So about a couple days ago, I got a text from my son, and I was just getting off from work, and he was telling me that my son is 14 years old, and I got a text from him stating that he had been kicked off the basketball team. Now I'm like, boy, please. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, what happened? I'm texting him, what happened? What happened? And I'm like, well, I'm getting off work and I'll be there soon. He's like, yeah, come pick me up. That's the kind of way I read the text message. So my son is very charismatic. He's really smart. He's very smart. So he's used to things coming to him very easily. And he's really very relaxed because he has this je ne sais quoi. He has this quality about himself where he feels very good. He's very confident. So I always tell my children they're great. And one thing that I used to do when they were very small, I would take them outside and have them look at the sky. And I would tell them there's nothing underneath that's greater than who you are. Everything that you are, you're great, you're beautiful, you shine. I always tell my kids that. Even I tell them that. you know and people always said to me, you think your kids are perfect? And I was like, they are. They're perfectly themselves. That would be my response. So naturally, this young man, he has this what they call swag, or whatever the case may be. He's very popular. I don't know what that life is like because I wasn't popular in school. People knew me. People knew me because of my family, and whatever. So I wasn't the popular kid. So I don't know what that's like for him, especially as a young man. So back to the story. He wanted to quit the basketball team. So I went up to the school and I'm frustrated because I know my kid. And I'm like, boy, what happened? So he was like, yeah, they kicked me off the team, Mom. They kicked me off the team. They was talking about my game week and this and that or whatever. I said, well, how have you been playing? He was like, I play. I say, how have you been playing? I said, are you going out there giving 110%, Jermaine? I say, because I seen you coming down the court, you're bouncing the ball all relaxed and everything. You're not hustling. So I don't know much about sports, but I do know when I see them boys on NBA on the TV and stuff like that, them men be coming down that court like hustling, like they owning it. So I was like, are you giving 110%? I'm practicing. So I say, let me go talk to your coach. So I went in the gym, and of course, the assistant coach, he was used to a lot of parents being a little hostile with him, automatically defending the kid, so he was like, Miss Booker, just so you know, we didn't kick him off the team. And I'm like, okay, it's okay. And so, but I was like, okay. And so he was like, he wouldn't have given me this whole spiel about how they didn't kick him off the team and what they're not going to tolerate. And then he paused for a minute because I just stood there and smiled at him, and I stared. And he said, you know what? How you doing, Miss Booker? I said, now there you go. How you doing? So I said, where's my ex for the head coach? So he said he's in his classroom because the head coach is a teacher at my son's school who is also my son's mentor. So I go back and I find I find the coach and everything. I go to the classroom and he's just like, Miss Booker, Canty, Jermaine, that's my boy. I love him, Miss Booker. He like going in on the spiel and everything. I think highly of him. He's a good kid, but he's lazy. And I said, he really is. He is lazy. And so now, because I didn't automatically go in there on defense, knowing full well I know who my child is, number one. Two, I know what I stand for and what our household stands for. So, of course, I go in there and I'm like, listening to what he had to say about how Jermaine's practice is going and how he's doing, carrying himself at school, and just his mannerisms with the team and everything. So I said, we talked for about 20 minutes. Practice is still going on, by the way. My son done already put his stuff in the car, and everything. So he think he getting ready to go home. So I say, come on. He said, where is he? I say, he's in the car. I said, come on, come with me. So we walked to the car, and I told my son, I said, get out of the car. And he's standing over here looking at me. So I said to my son, I said, get out the car. I said, tell me what's going on. And actually, I gave him a few minutes to speak. But then I sent this behind in that gym, and I said, now you go in there and you give 110%. You go in there and you push yourself, and yes, they're going to be hard on you because they know your potential. You know your potential. So go out there and just do the job. Do what you love to do. Why would you quit something that you love to do because you're being challenged. You know, so tonight I got a call from the assistant coach. And he said, Miss Booker Canty, were you at the game? I say, no. My son actually does not like for me to go to his basketball games because he say, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what's going on. True enough, because I cheer for both sides of the teams. I cheer for the home team and I cheer for the away team. They're all kids, so I cheer for all the kids, you know. What, back to the story. So his coach called me and he was just so elated. He was like, Miss Canty, Miss Princess, this is why I push him. And I'll keep telling him my last name ain't Canty. But whatever. So they're like, Miss Princess, you know, this is why I pushed Jermaine. Jermaine played a great game. He really showed himself. Oh my gosh, we never seen him play like this before. Da da da. And I was like, oh yeah. And I was smiling. Because ever since that day that he called me and told me that he was quitting the team, and I made his behind go back in that gym and put his big boy shoes on, I've been in this house telling him, you're going to give 110% today? You're going to stay on that cell phone playing in the Instagram with the little girls? You're going to keep talking to your little cousins and stuff like you ain't got no work to do out here? You know that trash was supposed to be taken out 2-3 days ago, so I've been kind of just like on him a little bit, but I wasn't cursing, I wasn't yelling and screaming. I kind of just gave him the tools. He hears my voice and I'm reiterating what I had already instilled in them and then allowing him to hone that. And then tonight he comes in the door himself and he say, Mom, your son had a good game today. Oh yeah, you did. Oh yeah. I don't expect nothing less because I know you can fly. And then his little sister came in the door and her antics. Jit played good. And I'm like, Jit played good, whatever, girl. So then I'm in the restroom and everything, and I'm telling him, I'm proud of him and everything. And so I say, well, your coach told me there's some scouts that came out to look at you. Again, he's 14. He's on his way to high school, and they're telling me that high school coaches are looking at him. And I don't know much about sports, but I'm assuming that's a very important thing. And so in one of the schools that my son had put in the atmosphere that he had wanted to go to next year was actually out there, and he had a chance to meet the coach. And so he was telling me how the other young men on his team approached the coaches and how they shook their hands. And I remember when Jermaine was 5 years old, I had him in the living room. We were living in Rhode Island, and I told him, I said, I was teaching him how to shake a hand, how to shake hands. And not all that, the little, dabbing and all that stuff people do. You're a young man, you have to know how to shake hands. And while that seems trivial, it is highly important, and it's a how can I say, it solidifies a greeting. It sets the tone for how people will approach you. And so I was telling him that at 5 years old. So tonight he was telling me how the other young man shook the coach's hands, and how when the coaches approached him, he extended his hand to shake their hand the way that I had taught him. So I was like, interesting. And I began to smile, and I began to feel really proud. Really proud. And I said, yeah. And he was like, well, Mom, I said, well, your coach told me that it was this school and that school. He was like, it was more than that. And I actually stuck around and I shook all their hands. I was like, so he was like, and the other young men on his team shook maybe one or two of the coach's hands and kept on going. But he stuck around and he showed respect to the other coaches. So I'm making this video for 2 reasons. One, to say how proud I am of my babies. These my kids. And like my family say, they go Princess kids. I'm very proud of them. So proud of them. And then to say, parents, it is up to us to teach our kids at home to set the tone of greatness, expectation, to set that tone of expectation within themselves, to set the tone of expectation in our households, to push them into their greatness. When our children want to give up, we have to give them a reason to keep going. We can't allow them to stop.